signals at me that I don't quite understand. Hello. Welcome, listeners. Welcome to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and with Corey.
That's me.
Unlocking Your Truth is a talk show about metaphysics and spirituality, and we broadcast on 101.7 FM across the Fraser Valley from the unceded territory of the Stolo Nation, from CIVL, which is a radio station here in British Columbia in Canada. But we also have a podcast of the radio show, which you can tune into on all major podcasting platforms. And by coming to my website, drlesliephillips.com, you can get the podcast feed there.
And there are lots of them.
If you are an enthusiastic follower, you can join our Facebook group, which is called the Awaken Your Psychic Abilities Facebook group. Or you could follow my YouTube channel. And those are ways in which you can join the chat room. When we record the show, you can be in the chat room live. You can get to participate in the discussion and ask your questions on air, which is a lot of fun. And so we thank all the listeners who come and participate in the chat room because they help us create the radio show. We don't know what they're going to ask in advance.
That's true.
If you're someone who can't manage to watch live, you can also email info@drlesliephillips.com and send your questions in that way, or post them in the Facebook group. So that was a long introduction tonight.
Yeah, that was.
Tonight's
Very
show,
much so.
Yeah, tonight's show is going to be about the power of now, living in the present. Living in the present moment. It's probably a topic that you've heard about because there's a very famous book by Eckhart Tolle called The Power of Now. And it's also a really well-known Buddhist practice is called Mindfulness, which is all about being in the present moment. And mindfulness is a movement that has really taken off throughout the world, throughout the Western world now, as well as in many corporations. And so businesses have started to appreciate the power of now, have started to appreciate how it helps their productivity when their employees are trained to be in the present moment.
It just makes life so much easier.
So how might being in the present moment affect you? So let's think about that. Let's think about what is being in the present moment. From a spiritual perspective, you'll hear me say this a lot on the show. You are spirit. As spirit, you are infinite, you are eternal. You exist outside of time and space. You have a body. So the person that's watching or listening to this show, that's your body personality self. You are an aspect or a projection of that larger being that exists outside of time and space. The body personality self exists in time and space. So as spirit, you can be anytime, any place, anywhere, but your body can only be right here, right now, in the present moment. So to be with your body, you need to be in the present moment. If you are not focused on your body in the present moment, then you may feel disassociated from reality. You may feel unfocused. You may feel blocked, like you cannot achieve anything, like you cannot manifest or create the life that you want. And that's because you've created the body, and then you've just left it there to get on with it and you're ignoring it. And so this might sound kind of esoteric, but let's use some common everyday examples to illustrate this. A common experience is this. You've got to go somewhere. You've got to drive from A to B. Maybe it's work, maybe it's the supermarket. So you get up, you grab your car keys, you jump in the car, and off you go. And then you get to your destination. Now, you might have a very clear recall of leaving your house and getting in the car. You might have a very conscious experience of parking and getting out the car. But you might have very fuzzy recollection of the journey from A to B because you're so used to driving. So why is that? The answer is you were not present while you were driving. Maybe you were driving along thinking about your shopping list. Let's say you're going to the supermarket. Or maybe you were driving along thinking about what you have to do when you get to work. Neither of those things is right here, right now. Those are things that you're going to do in the future. Or you might have been driving along thinking about the argument you just had with your husband or your wife. That's also not in the present. That is in the past. Or maybe you were just daydreaming. Maybe you were just daydreaming as you were driving. All of those things are you disassociating from the body's reality. That's you as spirit wandering off into the past, wandering off into the future, wandering off into the realm of ideas. You know, you might even be thinking about your vacation in Hawaii, and off you go to Hawaii for a moment as spirit. So that's a really common example of how all of us, I don't think there's a single human that on the planet that doesn't do a version of that, how we are not in the present moment. And, you know, when you think about it, if you're not in the present moment, you're actually missing part of your life, aren't you?
Oh, yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Big part.
And another really common example that we all do is when we're on the computer, Googling. I'm just going to Google this for 5 minutes here or 5 minutes there. And then you go down this whole entire wormhole that pulls you into this mental realm. And again, maybe even hours pass by, and then you come back into the present moment and you wonder where all the time has gone. Well, you weren't in the present moment.
But it's actually, you know, it's you're losing time. But I always like the analogy. Somebody gives you a beautiful little lemon tree for your home, and you sit there and you put it in a beautiful spot in the sunlight, and you sit there and you think about all the lemons that it's going to produce, and then you think, oh, I wonder if it came from a seed or a branch. I wonder if it did this, and then one day you look at the tree and it's dead because you've been thinking about lemons and you've been thinking about the seeds, but you forgot to water it.
Yeah, I like that one. That's a really nice one.
And so like your life is like that too. Stop thinking, stop thinking about what could be, stop thinking about what was, because when you're doing that, your life right now is going, down the tubes.
Yeah, and what you're doing when you do that is you're spreading your energy out. It's funny, I had a session with somebody this morning and it was exactly about this. Someone with a really busy job, and their energy was in all the different projects that they were doing, all the different people that they were associated with at work. And this person was completely tired and exhausted. And why? Her energy wasn't focused on her. Her energy was out there everywhere else, completely spread out in places actually where it didn't need to be. So I would say, the power of now, I would actually add to that the power of here and now. Because we want to be now in the present moment, but we also want to be here where we are, where our body is in the present moment. And that is, for the human being, that is the most powerful place that you can possibly be, to be right here, right now. If you are focused in the present moment, right here, right now, where your body is, then you're bringing your energy into focus, and you are anchoring your energy here, and you are starting to be a point of radiance and creativity on earth. You know, so many people want to manifest, want to create a life of abundance, and wonder why it's not working for them. This would be one of the reasons why it's not working for them. You know, maybe you are off dreaming of this life that you wish you had. Maybe you are in resistance against the life that you do have. But if you can be right here, right now, with your energy focused right there, then you become a point of attraction. You become a very potent point of radiance and attraction. And you start to be more aware of your own energy, be more aware of what you're doing with your energy, be more aware of your thought, what you're thinking, what you're feeling, where your vibration is at. So being in the present moment is super important, really. But how do we ensure that we are present? And there are many different practices that allow you to be in the present. And the mindfulness practices is one thing. And often in those, well, actually all meditation practices have a focus on the breath and breathing. So if you focus on your breath, you are automatically focusing your attention on the present. Why? Well, where is the breathing happening? The breathing is happening in this vessel, in this body, here and now. So if you focus on your breathing, you start to bring yourself into the present moment. If you focus on your heartbeat, you start to bring yourself into the present moment. If you start to focus on your senses, your 5 senses, your sense of smell, your sense of touch, just feeling your clothes brushing against your skin. Or if you start to focus on the sounds that you hear in the room, you tune into something that you're listening to, or what you're seeing. So all of those things can start to associate you with your body and pull you into the present moment.
And I like what Eckhart says too. He says, he says, go into nature. Nature is a wonderful place, you know.
Yeah.
That's hug a tree or just look at a tree, watch a tree. It's an amazing sensation.
And because that is it is in the eternal now. Okay, trees are now. They are present now. They do not have the same facility as we do to project our thoughts into the past, present, and future. So if you go out in nature with the plant life, with the rocks, with the weather, with the animals, that can help bring you into the present moment.
Misty
Now,
wants to know, do you ever lose your breath during meditation?
do I ever lose my breath during meditation? I've not noticed that. I think sometimes people forget to breathe. And it's important obviously to breathe. Bodies need oxygen, they die if they don't have it.
Yeah.
But also, having a slow rhythmic breath to underpin your meditation can be really, really helpful. It can help move you into an altered state of consciousness. It can help soothe your body. And it's also having the impact of allowing you to release what you don't want and allowing you to replenish and rejuvenate on the in-breath as well. So, but no, I think that is something that happens to people a lot. They forget to breathe.
Well, you can't forget to breathe because life is only one breath. Life itself is only one breath. You cannot miss a breath. If you miss a breath, then you're dead. It's not happening anymore.
People do momentarily forget to breathe sometimes.
They forget to breathe, yeah. But they don't. You can't miss that. A lot of the gurus say that. They talk about breath, but how important breath is. And it is everything. I mean, it's phenomenal.
My favorite way of coming into the present moment, apart from all the things we just talked about, is an energy technique called grounding. And this energy technique called grounding is available on my website for anyone that wants to download. And it is a mechanism whereby you can bridge the vibrational gap between you, the high vibration being, and your body, and bring them closer together and bring your energy, you, the spiritual consciousness, into the body and into the here and now. It is a mechanism whereby you can connect to the planet right here, right now, through your body. And how do you ground? You tune into this energy center near the base of your spine called your first chakra. And you create a flow of energy that goes from there all the way to the center of the earth. So you allow that energy flow to flow through the chair that you are sitting in, through the floor of the room, and through all the layers of the earth until it reaches the center of the earth. So listeners, when we come back from our break, I'll talk you through grounding and you can have the sensation of being fully in the present moment when we do that. We'll be back after these messages. Welcome back. Listeners, you're tuning in to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey. Tonight's
Hello.
episode, we're talking about the power of now and living in the present. And at the first part of the show, we talked about some of the examples of not being here. And we've also been talking about, well, how do you get to be here and now? And one way is by grounding. So anyone who's listening right now, I'm going to talk you through grounding, and everyone join in unless you're driving or operating machinery or doing something that requires your full attention and in the physical realm. Otherwise,
does the computer count?
I think you can manage to do it if you want to, Corey.
Okay.
So close your eyes and turn within, and actually make sure, sit in a straight back chair with your feet flat on the floor, your hands resting in your lap, and close your eyes and turn within. And take a long, slow, deep breath in. And a long, slow, deep breath out. And actually, let's just do a few long, slow, deep breaths. And I invite you to really focus on your breathing. And notice as you do so how that concentrates your energy on your body. And then in addition to continuing the long, slow, deep breath in and out, I'm going to invite you to tune in to an energy center that exists near the base of your spine. And start to create a flow of energy that flows from near the base of your spine through the chair that you are sitting in, through the floor of the room, through the foundations of the building, through the levels and layers of planet Earth until it reaches the very center of the earth. And I want to invite you to notice, what does that feel like when you make that connection to the center of the earth? Notice if it feels normal to you, or if it's something that is new, that perhaps you haven't done before. Because that will give you a feeling for how typically grounded and in present time you are. If this sensation is new, then perhaps you're not as present as you could be. Or maybe you notice that there are some times in your life where you naturally ground. So maybe if you go for a walk in nature, you naturally enter this state. Maybe there are other times when you are not grounded, when you are frightened, when you are anxious, when you are in a panic, when you are in a crowd of people, for example, when you're at work. So have an awareness of what it feels like to be grounded, what it feels like to make that energy connection between you, the high vibration being, and your body, and the planet that your body is alive on. This is how you can begin to be in charge of your reality. This is how you can begin to be in charge of your life. This is how you can begin to manifest the life that you want, by focusing your energy in the here and now and associating it with your physical presence in your physical body. Because remember that what shows up in your life is vibrationally what you are. If you're disconnected from your body and your energy field, you're not having any control or any say in that. It's just happening randomly. But if you ground and you enter into the present moment, and you enter into the stillness of the present moment, you can become acutely aware of the energy that you are, and you can also start to make changes to that. It helps you make changes to your energy because you can release unwanted energies down your grounding. So all of you right now, assuming that you are still in this grounded state, scan your body, scan your energy around your body, and notice what is going on in the present moment in your system. And do you like all of it? Or are there some things in there that you wish were not there? Whether you're feeling stress, physical pain, tension, distraction, an emotion that you're not enjoying, thoughts that are out of control, baggage that you're carrying and you can't get rid of, someone else's energy that's really annoying you. There are so many things that can get into your space when you are not present to be in charge of it. So notice what's there and just choose one of them and send it down your grounding to the center of the earth. Release it, let it go. Allow the earth to take that and repurpose it. Our planet is a master of balancing energy and cycling energy. So you don't need to worry that you're polluting the planet with your stuff. Your body is a cell on the earth. You're it's part of the earth. So plug into the system on earth and allow yourself to start to get in alignment and in balance. Release and let go of what doesn't serve you down your grounding. And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes and reconnect with, if you're watching live or listening to the show. But by the way, you do not have to stop being grounded just because you open your eyes. You can remain grounded. And by being grounded, you can remain present in the here and now and discover the power of being here now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's
Now,
lovely.
we always talk about psychic abilities on the show. We always talk about intuition. So how does this help? Well, a few comments on that. One, you probably want your psychic abilities to make sense for your life. Or if you're giving readings to other people, for the life of that person. So if you focus here and now, you make it relevant to here and now. If you're not grounded and you're not in the present, you can be in any reality, really. Any reality, and that reality may not make sense for this reality. And so you want to be grounded and in present time and present with what you're doing now when you're using your psychic abilities, so that they relate and are relatable, so that the information that's coming through is making sense. The other reason is, and I say this so often, that your psychic abilities, they're part of your energy system. If you want to be in charge of your energy system, then you need to be present with it, right? So you have your chakra system and your auric field around your body. So you want to start getting to know that system. If you're off in space, then you're not associating with that. So you want to get to know your chakra system. And then thirdly, to access your psychic abilities, you need your energy field to be clear. So if you're not present, it's not going to be clear. The house is open to all visitors and all in sundry to come in and mess it up. So you want to be grounded and present and be cleaning up your energy field. Your energy field and your chakras are the windows that you view reality through. They're also the windows that other people view you through. So if it's a whole dirty mess, then you aren't going to have any clarity at all in your life or with your psychic abilities. So for that reason, being in the present moment and being grounded is a really good idea if you are interested in psychic development. So tonight we're talking about the present moment and why we like to be present. And I want to open it up to questions from listeners now.
Okay, we've got a couple of things that have come up. And just to add to Misty's comment from earlier, it's not, she says, when she said, do you ever lose your breath during meditation? It's not like I lose it, but I feel a change in my breath sometimes. It's like I stop for a period. It's strange.
Yeah. I think the rhythm of breath might shift, and you might purposefully shift the rhythm of the breath. Like I said, long, slow, deep breaths in and out. There's all sorts of different ways of breathing to get into a meditative state, actually. There's a dolphin breath, which is where you do a very long, slow inhale and a faster exhale. There is square breathing, where you breathe in for, let's say, 5 seconds, hold the breath for 5 seconds, breathe out for 5 seconds, hold the breath for 5 seconds, repeat about 5 times. It helps reset your energy. There's another breath where when you breathe in, you start with your attention on the bottom of your feet, and as you're on the in-breath, you are scanning your body from the feet all the way up to the top of your head, so that you reach the top of your head at the peak of the in-breath. And then you exhale, and then your inner gaze follows down your head, your neck, your chest, all the way back down to your feet when you get to the bottom of the out-breath. And that's helping your body relax. It's helping you become aware of yourself and your system. And it's also helping you come more and more into the present moment. So I think that just when we're meditating, our brain waves alter, and we're in a different state of consciousness than when we're going about our ordinary activities. And so I think that different forms of breath as well support the different activities that we're doing. So a long, slow, deep breath, I think, is very beneficial for you when you're meditating. What other questions do we have?
Well, I have one more that I don't know if we may take a break first. I just have a comment on being in the present, and I've mentioned this on the show a couple of times, and it's from the Vietnamese monk. I forget his name. You know his name.
Nat Han.
Yeah. And what really impressed me is he talked about being present. He says, focus on anything you do. Doesn't matter what you're doing, focus on it. Like if you're doing the dishes, do the dishes. Don't focus on getting the dishes done so that you can get to watch the hockey game. He says, and one of the things that he talks about is eating. And he says, when you eat, he says, you put a spoonful or a forkful in your mouth. Most people are getting the next forkful ready. So their mind is on the food that's coming, not the food that's there. And what he says is put your fork down and just chew and concentrate on the chewing. And I did that. And I did that with a group of people. And the most amazing thing, the food is astounding. It just tastes so different. It's phenomenal. And if I were to give anybody any advice as far as if you want to see what living in the present is like, do that when you eat. You will have an experience that will surprise you. It's very surprising. It's very awe-inspiring. What do you say to that, Dr. Leslie?
Yeah, I mean, I think you know, being very present when you're eating, it helps your digestion. It helps, you know, the saliva and you know, everything to occur in a beneficial way.
Well, it's just also a metaphor in a way, or life itself. If you're focused on the future isn't real. The past isn't real. None of those things exist anymore. So you'll find that if you're thinking about the future a lot, you're generally in fear of you're thinking about or anticipation or anxiety or anything like, you're usually in one of those states of emotions because you're waiting for something to happen. You're thinking about something that's going to happen in the future, but it isn't happening. And in the past, it's the same thing. Generally, people are thinking about things that were negative from the past that bothered them, that like just weighed in on their mind. And sometimes it's about wonderful events. But what happens is, you usually think about, a lot of time you think about those because you're not having a good time right now. I remember one time, and Dr. Leslie laughs at this all the time. My boss once, years ago, on a Friday night, we got along, but she was a little bit pushy. Got along, and at 4:30 on the way out the door, she says, "Corey, I want a meeting on Monday," in a very stern voice. And that was it. I said, "About what?" She said, "You'll know on Monday." So the whole weekend, like, what does she want? Like, what's going on? Like, my whole weekend was in this thought process. Monday morning came along. I got there, for the meeting, and 15 minutes early. And she came by, and she walked by the office. I said, "Where are you going?" She says, "What do you mean?" She said, "Well, what about our meeting?" "Oh, don't worry about it. I took care of that." And it's like, and it was nothing. It was nothing. So that's what. So we're going to go to a break right now, Dr. Leslie.
Great. We'll be back after these messages.
Hey.
Welcome back, listeners. You're tuning in to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey. Tonight's episode, we've been talking about being in the present moment. And it's the time in the show where we really like to answer questions from our listeners. So if you are listening live in the Facebook group or on my YouTube channel, then please do type your questions. And while we've been talking about being present, you don't have to limit your questions to the discussion on being in the present moment. You could ask about anything that you want.
Hey, I have a question from Katie. And Katie says, "Hi, my students and I have returned to the classroom this week after over a year of distance learning." Congratulations, by the way, Katie. "This has been traumatic and overwhelming for most, if not all of us. I've tried a couple of orientating, grounding, and centering exercises with them, like breathing, naming sites, etc. It seems to work well. I only have a few minutes to do it with them. Any suggestions to help me with that, get them to be in the present moment, like on Zoom or in person, ages 11 to 14? Any words of wisdom or phrases to help them remember this practice?" One word: detention.
I have a book which is perfect for that age group, by the way. It's called The Midas Tree.
That's a good book.
And it's available on Amazon, or actually by writing to me. I have lots of copies of it as well. It's for exactly that reading age. And it's an adventure story, but it teaches energy techniques as part of the adventure story. I think it's a really cool way to introduce meditation to kids, because they find out how the hero of the book meets his life challenges by using the energy techniques. So
even though we're affiliated, I read the book and many years ago, and it is a really good book. It is a true spiritual adventure story.
And so if you when you say grounding exercises, I don't know if you're teaching them the same grounding exercise that I just did, but that grounding exercise is in the book. And you can get the kids to imagine their grounding cord in a visual way, like it's a tree trunk or a laser beam or a waterfall that's going from them to the center of the earth. And usually I find that kids are really like faster than adults at doing these techniques. They've got less baggage in the way normally. So you could do a quick visualization, imagine that there's a waterfall going from near the base of your spine to the center of the earth, or imagine that there's a laser beam shooting from near the base of your spine to the center of the earth, or imagine you're like a big tree that reaches all the way down to the center of the earth. So that would be one suggestion. So do we have some other questions, Corey?
Yes, we do. Katie says again, crystals, gemstones are a new interest of mine. How can I use them for living in the present? Which ones are good to use and how are they used? Can I use them in the classroom too?
Well, okay. So crystals are, you know, they're great, they're fun. Let's see. I always think it's very important for us to learn about our own energy and to manage our own energy and not rely on something else to do it for us. So that would be the first comment that I would make. So I would say, if you want to ground, learn how to ground. Don't just put a crystal in your pocket and hope the crystal will do it. Crystals can be used to absorb energy, amplify energy, encourage energy to form into a particular pattern or structure. So different crystals have different vibrations and different structures, you know. And so you can use crystals in the classroom to absorb negative energy, for example. That might be one way. You want to be careful that you're not just going to amplify everybody, like giving them sugar. Crystals that are grounding, things like hematite. I want to say things like tiger's eye as well for some reason. So, you know, I think, yeah, you could do that if you want. I think in a way it's more valuable to learn about one's own energy. Anyway, I hope that gives you an answer. There's loads of resources where you can read about different crystals and the different, you know, like quartzes and so on, you know, can be, or amethyst can be good at helping you connect with the higher realms, you know, and some of the more heavier, denser, more magnetic ones can be good at helping you ground. But I wouldn't rely on a crystal to do something for me. I personally prefer to ground myself.
Also, not everybody is susceptible to crystal energy in that way. Different people have get different results with different crystals and stone and minerals.
I think you're right there, and I would say, you know, if your energy field is pretty backed up and bogged down with foreign energy, you're not going to be very sensitive necessarily. And like I said, they can amplify things. So, you know, you want to, I guess, be careful what's being amplified.
Yeah. But hematite is a great stone, on a personal stone for relaxation and eliminating a lot of negativity in your body. But you have to wear it on a consistent basis. So something in the classroom wouldn't really work all that well.
So I mean, you know, you can use them to absorb energy. You can use them in healing to absorb energies, to remove energies. You can program them. You can program information into them.
Then you could put them in a stream and they disappear and then come back.
That's right.
We have a little waterfall in the back, and Dr. Leslie puts her crystals in there to cleanse them once in a while. She put 3 in there one time, and we have a raccoon that comes, and they decided they were going to play with them.
Well, actually, we don't know if that's what happened, but they disappeared.
Yeah, they disappeared and came back. Anyway, this is from NEL, and NEL says, I was hoping to know if love still exists and is possible with SW in this life. Please and thank you. Every time we connect, it's surreal. Things have been stopped by outside forces.
Okay. So you're talking about romantic love.
Yeah, we haven't had a question like that for ages.
No, we haven't. Because of course, love is the vibration that underpins the universe. Love is the one true substance of all of it. And pretty much everything else is some form of projection and illusion. So does love still exist? Absolutely. It won't ever cease to exist. But anyway, you're asking about romantic things with SW. So let's take a look. What was the second part? You just said that when they try to get together, something happens.
Outside forces.
Well, what I see is it looks like your energy is kind of sturdy and stable in its desire to be with and connect with this person. And it seems as though the disturbance or interference is more coming, not exactly coming from, but coming through the other person, SW. So I almost see something behind SW grabbing them and pulling them back out. I mean, we don't have much background information here, whether you know that SW feels the same way or doesn't, but SW doesn't look as conscious of it or as you do either. So if you haven't told them how you feel, I would tell them how you feel. That looks like that makes a difference. Talking to SW and telling SW how you feel. You can feel free, Anil, to put a little bit more information and I can look at it in a little bit more depth. I'm not sure that SW is conscious in the same way as you are, but when I looked at you telling SW how you feel, then SW came more alive and more interconnected with the whole idea. So I don't know why that would be. Feel free to tell us a bit more. All right, Corey.
Okay, this is from Misty. Misty says, I have an unrelated question. Could I be so empathic, I guess she wants to say, empathic that I feel my husband's health issues?
Yeah. Yes, totally you could be. And usually what's happening in that instance is that either he's in your space or you're in his space. And it's really, really common in families for people to merge energy. But when we do that, we feel the other person's reality. So grounding will help you, because what you're wanting to do is to pull your energy into you, so that if it's you that's engulfing them, and when somebody's not well, we might do that. We might, oh, poor thing, let me help you. And then in doing that and engulfing them with your energy, then you start to feel the way they feel. So you want to pull your energy back to you. And if it's the other way around, because he's going, help me, and his energy's out, then you also want to ground so that you can be non-resistant, so that his energy doesn't stick to you. But the short answer is, yeah, absolutely, you can. but it doesn't have to be something that you have to put up with and suffer from forever. There are ways of managing your energy that alleviate the problem. And in fact, I have my Unlock Your Intuition course, which actually starts this week, and it's not too late to join, teaches you how to manage your energy in that way. And I also have a course called, it's my clairsentience training course to become an enlightened empath, which also goes into your question in great depth and practice. What else?
Hey, ray of sunshine. I taught my kids meditation by nature forest baths. Forests are extremely grounding. And Ray also says, Moonstone helps me during meditation.
Thank you for sharing that.
Wonderful. Nature baths. I'm not sure what's meant by that too.
It just means, I think that there's been research by Japanese scientists, and they call it bathing in nature. They go into the pine forests, hiking and walking through the pine forests, and it actually resets and improves the immune system. And so it's basically just immersing yourself in nature. And being present in nature has a very beneficial impact on the health. Do we have another question?
Well, Anielle has expanded on her earlier question. She says, thank you so much. She comes from the other side of the world and has protected her parents protective parenting. It's much like mine. Her parents are afraid to let her go. I have expanded, but she has not seen me as I am.
Okay, well, that sounds like we read that quite accurately then. The energy that's coming and grabbing her will be the parents. Yeah. And like I said, you seem pretty steady and in your perspective on it, but she seems unconscious of it. Yeah. Okay, thank you for validating.
Okay. And Katie says, yes, thanks. I'm curious about my ability to see the energy of my crystals. I don't know if it's an aura because I don't see color. Can you tell me what is happening?
Okay, so she wants to see the energy in her crystals, but isn't having any luck and doesn't say she doesn't see color. I don't think you know how to use your sixth chakra correctly. So, if you want to see auras and energy fields, you need to seat your consciousness in your sixth chakra and look through your third eye rather than through your physical eyes or rather than using your intellect. So, part of it might be having some training or assistance in how to use your sixth chakra. Tell me the question again. I'm not exactly sure what she's wanting me to offer here.
She says, I'm curious about my ability to see the energy of my crystals. I don't know if it's an aura because I don't see color. Can you tell me what is happening?
So it sounds like she's seeing energy emanating from the crystals, but it isn't a color. She's just aware of the energy.
Yeah.
So it just, you're just being aware of the energy.
That's all it is, actually.
What else there is to say about it.
Anyway, Dr. Leslie. there's not much else, not much. You're done for the evening anyway.
Okay, but if you're interested in developing your sixth chakra, then check out Unlock Your Intuition. And there's also a clairvoyance course as well on my website. But Unlock Your Intuition is required before going on to the clairvoyance course. Unlock Your Intuition, we focus very much on the clairvoyance. And so if you're interested in developing this further, then I suggest you check that out. Well, that went quickly. Well, actually,
Yes.
it did, because I don't know, it didn't really, because we were being very present. All right, bye everyone. We'll see you next time.
Bye. Take care.